All right, welcome to another edition of the Manja Cast. Bob Papa, Chris Bizignano, Giant Insider Newspaper Podcast, which is now part of the Believe Podcast Network. So, you know what I say to you, my friend?
Yeah, I think I know what you're going to say.
Chin, chin.
Chin,
chin. Chin, chin. What are you drinking tonight?
Chin. I'm back with the St. Francis, my friend. I've had this a few weeks now. I see you're back with one of our favorites, the Daboll.
The Daboll. I got to get a better background because it's not good. Hey, listen, the ManjaCast is brought to you by FanDuel. So proud to have FanDuel as part of our family. And you can go to Believe and buy yourself one of these Chin Chin ManjaCast glasses to sip your wine or favorite adult beverage. So this thing was born. Go to shop.believe.com, and that's where you roll. So this thing was born, Biz, on Championship Sunday. Out of nowhere, out of thin air. And we want to thank all of our followers out there for, joining the party with us. Now, we're not cooking tonight. My son had one of his first padded practices, so he was all fired up for that. No time to do any cooking. But I figured with some games going on, where we were born was Championship Sunday, week 1 of the preseason. We got some games going on, and we got a lot of things to talk about. Plus, the Giants are playing the Bills on Saturday at 1 o'clock in Buffalo. So we got a lot of things to digest. Right now, the Ravens, they kind of controlled this game against the Indianapolis Colts. And I think we got to start with Anthony Richardson, Biz, getting knocked out of the game for not being able to read what was happening in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Because he didn't read. The lines looked like they slid left. Richardson's looking left, the running back's running out in the flat, and he totally does not see a Daboll coming off the left side. And I don't know how serious it is. Supposedly it's a hand injury or a finger injury or something. But, year 3, Richardson gets knocked out in the first preseason game. Reading defenses, that's been an issue with him. It cost him tonight. And our old friend Daniel Jones jumped in there earlier than they expected, right? Because I think they wanted Richardson to go a quarter. But look, I look at this Colts roster, Bob. It's a pretty good roster. But obviously quarterback play for them is going to be their tell-all. So, but watching them, Bob, and watching them, they added Tyler Warren to tight end room. The wide receiver room's pretty good. They got playmakers on defense. One of the leading tackles in the league was there, Franklin. But it's going to come down to quarterback for them. So Daniel looked okay, there's some good things. There's some other things that a little like some things we've seen over the years. But depending on Anthony Richardson, how his injury, it could be Daniel now. So we'll see what happens over there at Indy. But Shane Stetcher played his guys like a quarter. He played his starters like a quarter. So
yeah, I mean the game plan was for Richardson to play a quarter and a half, Jones to play the end of the first half, and then next week they were going to reverse it. So listen, if you want to jump on, ask some questions. We're going to take comments tonight. Then you had Joe Burrow starting in a preseason game, and zip, zip, zip down the field they went. Philadelphia went zip, zip, zip right back. But good to see Joe Burrow out there playing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the best to do it. Look, before we get to some other injuries today, Joe Burrow, it's defense is going to be that's going to be the issue there with Cincinnati. We know that. They got to get Trey Hendrickson. They got to get that fixed. At least they got the number 1 pick, Stu, and so we'll see what the defense with them. But I don't think anybody's really worried about Joe Burrow. He looked really good his first series. He's one of the best, right, Pop? We all know that. It's going to come down to their defense in Cincy. We'll see if Al Golden, their new coordinator, coming over from Notre Dame, if he could fix some of this stuff over there, because if they could come up with a defense, a somewhat decent defense, they are going to be a major player in the AFC.
Yeah, and then, Philadelphia is just going to be Philadelphia. I don't see any stepping back from the Philadelphia Eagles this year. I know that they've, they've lost some players, but until anybody beats the Eagles, I don't see them not winning the division.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. So, hey, Bob, just Go back to the AFC a second. I was thinking about this before. You got the big three, right? You got Buffalo, you got Kansas City, and you have the Baltimore Ravens, who we're watching tonight. What team do you think could kind of join that party in the AFC?
What team do I think can join the party in the AFC?
The big three party. I like to call it the big three party in the AFC. What team do you think might be able to?
Well, I think Denver. I think Denver is going to have a chance to join that party. I think Denver's a live wire in the division. Now, with this Rashawn Slater injury today for the Chargers, that's a huge blow. What he rupture a tendon in his knee?
Yeah.
So he's out for the year. That's bad. I mean, I know they have Joe Alt, but what made their line fantastic was they had Slater on one side, Alt on the other.
Yeah.
So that hurts a lot. But I think the Denver Broncos are a live wire in that division. I honestly believe that Denver is a live wire. Let's not forget Miami was pretty good a couple of years ago. So I think people might be a little quick to write them off. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't have them joining a big party, right? Three party. The team I have, Bob, obviously is going to be the Cincinnati
you got?
I got the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I almost count them. I know they're not in the big three, but you know why they almost have to get included in make it a big four conversation? Because here's the one thing I know about Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow.
What do you know?
All these big teams we're talking about in the AFC, guess who's the only team in quarterback to beat Mahomes in the conference championship game and keep him out of the Super Bowl?
That would be Mr. Burrow himself. Right?
Yeah, so I almost got to say it's a big four.
Okay, I don't trust their defense yet, Bob. That's why I'm not putting them in the party yet. I don't trust their defense. So we'll see about that. I believe the Henderson thing will work itself out. And it's Shamar Stewart, the number one pick, Shamar Stewart. We'll see what he gives them. And I also like some of the things they drafted in the second round, the linebacker too. But look, the reason why, Bob, because this team last year was horrific defensively. They're on paper. It looks like they've improved a little bit. We'll have to see. Okay. So, but right now I'm going to hold off. I'm holding off, Pop, on that big four invite for Joe. I know that's one of your adopted teams at the AFC. I know you love those Bengals and Burrow.
I love the Bengals.
I know you do. I have to hold off because I have to see Al Golden's defense. And if I see their defense playing somewhat well in the first three, I'm inviting them in, Bob. I'm going to send out the invite. But right now it's Buffalo, KC, and the Baltimore Ravens, and then everybody else. How about another team? Give me another team, a surprise. You know what?
Well, hold on. Let me continue here with Cincinnati for a second, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
So I had Paul Daner, senior writer for the Bengals, who works for The Athletic. He came on the show today.
Okay.
And on my Sirius XM NFL radio show, and he was very impressed by the young talent that they've drafted on the defensive side of the ball and players that they brought in. In fact, he even said young Howard Cross Jr., who was signed as an undrafted free agent out of Notre Dame, is having an outstanding camp.
Okay.
Outstanding. Now, obviously, he has familiarity with the head coach from his college days. But you got another team that you're thinking in the hopper?
Dare I say it, Bob?
Dare you say it?
Dare I say the Pittsburgh? See, those Paisan minds are always thinking alike. Dare I say Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers? I'm going to say it. They don't have the invite yet, but man, with Mr. Rodgers over there, boy, yes, somebody that might be, man, a postman might be delivering that invite from the Biz. We'll see, man.
Here's my question, though. How good is their defense really? How many games last year did the defense let go of the rope? Like, you think about the Cowboys were down and out last year. And they went to Pittsburgh, and Dak's leading them down the field at the end of the game in prime time and winning the game. Is that a closeout defense? I don't know. But then again, Cincinnati, we don't know what kind of defense they have. So I guess I just made your argument why you have to include Pittsburgh.
I'm going to include Pittsburgh for a possible invite. And Pop, you remember last year when I texted you in the middle of the season, I said, this Steelers defense is a mirage. They're not that good. You remember that, Pop? And I remember you saying, yeah, I'm with you on that. And I thought it was a little bit of a mirage last season. I thought it was, and it turned out to be. Now we'll see. We'll see. They added a few pieces. Now I see Cameron Hayward. He kind of wants his contract redone, as he should be. That guy's going to Canton. He is coming off a solid season. So we'll see. Now, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, what is he going to add to this team? Now, I have a little issue with the Steelers. This is why they're not going to get the invite, right? They trade George Pickens. The receiver room is thin. Okay, the receiver room is thin. Excellent tight end. Offensive line kind of rebuilt. We'll see. We'll have to see how that goes. Right? How about the running back room? Do you like the running back room? No more Najee. Going with the kid. They drafted a rookie, right? 5th round pick, whatever it is. So the running back room, a little thin too. I'm not crazy about the running back room. But it is Mike Tomlin. It is the Steelers. No invite yet, but they are going to be a team that I'm going to be kind of keeping an eye on early on to see if I have to start writing that. To Pittsburgh, you are invited, but not right now.
You're almost invited. You're almost
not yet,
there.
Mr. Rogers.
Hey,
hey, Bob. Let me ask you this: Are you on the brink of the Broncos? Maybe an invite? You kind of like them? Do you like them to challenge for the division? What about that?
Well, listen. Here's what I'm thinking.
What you thinking?
I'm thinking that the quarterback is going to take a next step.
Mr. Bo, huh? Okay.
I think I put this, solely on because Sean Payton is their head coach and he knows what he's doing. So, I'm kind of down with that. I'm kind of down with Denver, but they're not in the Big Four yet. They're not there yet. But like I said, I'm thinking that they're going to challenge in the division. So if I'm going to think they're going to challenge in the division, then I think they're a live wire. What do you make of? Shift gears here. It seems to me that more teams are looking to play some of their starters a little bit more than we've seen in the past.
That's what it seems like. What do I make of that? I don't know. Bob, speaking with Daboll this week, Brian Daboll of the Giants, and talking about that, and he was talking about how him and Joe Shane, the Giants general manager, studied all kinds of formulas, all kinds of teams, what this team did, that team did. And there's no real formula for the success as far as playing starters in week 1, not playing in week 2. So I don't know. We'll have to see how these games go along. You see Shane Steichen tonight. He played his starters a quarter plus. And then we'll see the 10 o'clock game what Pete Carroll does and Mike McDonald. We'll see what they do with their starters. What do I make of it? I don't know what to make of it. Do I make of it maybe, Bob, that they're sick and tired of week 1 sloppiness? That, hey, we got to get these guys some more reps, man, because we're sick and tired of 15, 17 missed tackles in week 1 and this crappy football and all that stuff. I don't know. What do you think?
I think teams are realizing that training camp, the incarnation of training camp the way it is now. And I know they expound upon the kind of work that they can get in for the starters in these controlled joint practices, which obviously they can. But it still is not a game. It's still not a game situation. It's still controlled, and you still have to be able to tackle, and you have to be able to block, and you have to do it against other people under a game situation. Because the play clock's ticking. There's officials on the field. There's TV timeouts. There's all this other stuff. And yes, I know they can create scenarios and they do 2-minute and all that. But doing 2-minute in practice is not the same as being in the stadium in your full uniform, running the 2-minute offense with fans cheering officials all over the place, and the helter-skelter that it is. And I think more and more teams are realizing that these guys have to play some before we expect them to step on the field in week 1 and play to a level that they were playing at when they stepped off the field in January.
I agree, man. I think guys like Zach Taylor, guys like they're sick and tired of coming out and losing that week 1 game against New England like they did last year because they just aren't sharp. Okay? And I think that fear factor, Bob, of, we can't, the injuries, we can't lose this guy. Rashawn Slater and C.J. Gardner-Johnson were lost for the season today in a practice. It's football. Either in a game or practice, guys could get hurt. That fear factor of we can't get the starters reps because in a preseason game, goes, injury. What about it? What if they get injured? These guys have to start getting away from that, Bob. And you might start seeing that like, hey, we got to get these guys live reps. F the injury factor, because we're sick and tired of seeing week 1 guys are looking like crap. Okay? Get them in there. There's nothing like live action. Get them a quarter and a half. They have to start hitting. Running backs want to play. They want to get hit. Okay? Guys on defensive backs want to play. They want to cover. Linebackers want to hit. Like you said, Bob, we're gonna look at 2 joint practices next week, the Giants and Jets. That's great, but it's not game action. Okay? Coaches have to start getting away from that. Well, we're worried about injuries. What if a guy gets hurt? And get these guys ready to roll for week 1. Because, Bob, we have seen it now the last 3, 4, 5, maybe even longer. The first few weeks of the season is so effing bad at times, man. It's so sloppy, the tackling, execution, all that. I always been saying it. Well, these guys don't play in the preseason. Get them snaps.
Yeah, I mean, you think Cincinnati, who made that run at the end of last season, would have liked to have that week 1 loss to the Patriots back?
You think? 16-10 loss? You think?
Again, I know it's a dangerous sport, but for years they played. At one point, they played 6 preseason games, and they played. Now, the medical information is way much better, and they can identify injuries that we want these guys walking when they're 55. So I understand the safety factor and all this, but I've used this example on my Sirius show. I've used it a million other times. I'll use it now. You got to play some in the preseason. You cannot have your starting defensive tackle, your linebackers, your corners. Let's say you get to the divisional playoff round and you walk off the football field on January 21st. And they don't play in a game situation until opening day in September. 9 months later. It was the last time they played in a game situation. The Dodgers won the World Series last year. Can you imagine if Shohei Ohtani, after his last bat in the World Series, did not face live in-game pitching until opening day? Or Aaron Judge?
They would be automatic 0 for 4s.
Can you imagine Steph Curry filling it up, or whatever your Stanley Cup winning goaltender winning the cup, skating around with the cup, and the next live shot he faces in a game situation is opening night in October? It's the only sport that believes that you can execute at the same level as the way you ended the last season, but not do it.
It's that injury fear. And they don't even do two-a-days anymore, Bob. They don't even do two-a-days anymore.
They get hurt more.
They get hurt no matter what.
Less.
Yeah. Yeah. And how many times we see big injuries the first week of the season, too? Look, all I'm saying is you have to get these guys snaps. You got to get them somewhat game speed. You can't wait to September 7th or September 4th, a Thursday night game, to get these guys rolling. You know what, Bob? It's interesting you say that because I saw Indy did that. And now I want to see the rest of these preseason games. We got the Giants. You'll be up in Buffalo Saturday. I'm curious to see what the Giants do. I know Sean McDermott came out. He's going to play a lot of the starters, like around the quarter. Not playing Josh Allen, but he's going to play a lot of his starters. We'll see what Daboll does and the rest of these teams because, Bob, are we shifting away from that? We can't play starters. We can't play starters mentality. I hope so. I hope they are.
No, I think you got to play them at some point. I think probably the best way to do it is get them some snaps in the first preseason game, extend them a little more in the second preseason game, and then bubble wrap everybody in the third preseason game.
Mm-hmm.
Just bubble wrap them all.
I agree. But get them in there, man. Get them in there.
Especially now with that week off, as Leonard just threw an interception for Indianapolis with the Colts down by 5. Notre Dame or Golden Dome, your guy.
That's my guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to check it down.
Yeah. Not a big look here. I appreciate everything he did, but not a big Riley guy in the NFL level. But we'll see how it works out. But yeah, he looks like he got hit when he threw that ball there. But so
hey,
Baltimore's Baltimore. Go ahead, Bob.
As we get closer to the top of the hour, and we get closer to this game with the Seahawks and the Oakland Raiders or Las Vegas Raiders. I was thinking about this is the 15-year anniversary of Victor Cruz. MetLife Stadium opened in 2010, and because the Giants and Jets built the stadium together, the NFL moved the Giant-Jet preseason game from its traditional third preseason game to make it the first preseason game so that both teams could say that they played in the first ever NFL game in the stadium. And that was the Victor Cruz game. That's Victor Cruz coming out of nowhere. NFL Films had Rex Ryan mic'd up. Like, who is this guy? We can't cover this guy. Going to Coughlin after the game. Hey, I don't know who that guy was, but sure, whatever. And it got me thinking of Shadour Sanders because here's a guy who was 4th on the depth chart because of where he was drafted. And now they got 6 quarterbacks on the roster because Dylan Gabriel's got a hamstring. Pickett's got a hamstring. And Flacco is 40 years of age, so you're not throwing him out there. So the way it turns out, guess who's up in the first preseason game? And I'm going to be fascinated to see this because, all these guys that are playing right now in the fourth quarter of this game are guys that are maybe beyond the bubble, hoping to get on the bubble to make this team, either the Ravens or the Colts or another team. And Shadour Sanders has a golden opportunity to put the first stake in the ground by playing well.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they're going to play their starters. It might work out better for Shadour if they don't, because at least he'll play in the game with the guys that he's taken a lot of reps with, because he hasn't taken first-team reps because he was the 4th quarterback. But I saw this thing. I saw Stephen A. Smith today talking about they're setting him up by starting him. I'm like, they have nobody else to start the game.
Yeah. Yeah, they won't go to start Flacco.
He's getting an opportunity of
getting an opportunity
as a 5th-round pick.
I saw that too. Something about they're setting him up to fail or something like that. And I was like, what do you mean setting him up to fail? He might be playing with the ones. Okay, he's getting a golden opportunity here.
Yeah, some were saying, well, he hasn't had any reps with the ones. It doesn't matter. He's going to be playing with better players.
So what? He's going to be playing with better players. Are you kidding me? He's going to be playing with Jerry Jeudy now, maybe. No joke. All those guys. I mean, this is a golden opportunity for Shadour to show off his skill set, man. He's a great opportunity for him. I don't set him up to fail. I didn't quite get, some of the stuff that goes around this. I got to be honest with you, from day one with Sanders, a lot of the stuff has been outlandish. And I see some of these guys, they're making comments about NFL players. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're not setting him up to fail.
He
this
has
is a great opportunity.
he's being handed a golden ticket
Absolutely.
to start the first preseason game. If he's not playing with the ones, he's playing with strong twos.
Mm-hmm.
And he's being given a chance to say, yo, here's what's going on. I got this on film. What do you got? I mean, I'm excited to see what he does. I hope he does well. I hope he makes the decision hard. But he's going to get an opportunity that not many fifth-round draft picks at quarterback get to start a preseason. And not because he's Sanders, not because he's Shadour. He's getting the opportunity because he was the second quarterback they drafted, and the guy that they signed as a free agent's hurt. So now go run with it. Run with it and never look back.
Absolutely. I got to be honest with you, Bob. That game really didn't catch my eye until I saw that Shadour is going to be starting. And now it caught my eye. I want to see him out there with the ones, hopefully going against ones. Okay? Great opportunity for Shadour, man. The kid is talented. I know there's a certain narrative around this kid. The kid is talented, man. The kid is talented. And like you said, I hope he does. I hope he shows. I hope he flashes tomorrow night and plays well for the Browns. Make it hard, right? Make it hard decisions of Stefanski, right? When Dylan is out, right? And Pickett's out tomorrow, Bob? For sure?
Yeah, they both have hamstrings. Yeah, they're out.
Right. So I know they signed Snoop Huntley, right? He's in camp. Flacco,
right,
they said Flacco's not playing. They're not going to play him. So.
And I saw Deshaun Watson on the field, too.
What was
practice.
He doing? Was he carrying a water bottle?
No, he was out. He was out there not doing anything, but he was out there dressed, listening to what the calls were or whatever. It's not like he's going to play.
No, he's not playing. Hey, can we shift to the NFC a little bit?
Well, I got to tell you, because we're nearing the top of the hour. And I have to tell you, you know what I am so excited for tonight?
What are you excited?
And I said this on my Sirius show.
Go ahead. What are you excited?
I am so excited to see Pete Carroll, who's 73.
Chewing that gum, baby.
Chewing that gum. He'll turn 74 on September the 15th. Fit as a fiddle. Energetic. Has never let himself get out of shape. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame as a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited to see him in that silver and black. And Geno in Seattle, where Pete Carroll had a legendary career, and basically where Geno Smith resuscitated his floundering career as just a career backup guy. It looks like this Ravens-Colts game is running long. I guess they'll stick with it. But all I wanted to see was Pete Carroll, walking up and down the field, chewing the gum, pregame warmups, white, receivers, gloves on, just all fired up.
Yep. 70. What is he? 74, Bob? Amazing. The guy looks like he's 50.
70. He'll turn 74 on September the 15th.
And I tell you what, Bob, he's going to make that a much better football team, man. They are going to be a much better football team because of Pete Carroll. Because everywhere that guy went, that guy has won. And that includes USC. That includes when he was with New England. Okay? Even though it ended bad there with Kraft in New England.
Well, people forget that he took the Patriots to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Each of his first two seasons, he was 1-2 in the playoffs. Then he didn't have a winning season, and Bill Belichick became available. Kraft always loved Bill Belichick. Hey, look, Pete Carroll was this young coach taking over a mess with the Jets, and I think he went 6-10 his first year. And Leon Hess, one of the great gentlemen of all time, the former owner of the Jets,
mm-hmm.
had this obsession about Rich Kotite, and Kotite had gotten fired in Philly. And I'll never forget the press conference, about bringing Richie home, Staten Island guy.
Mm.
And he pulled the plug on Pete Carroll after 1 year because he had to bring Richie home. And
who might have been one of the worst coaches in the history of the game.
Absolutely. So Pete Carroll is a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I think that the Raiders, the Raiders aren't going to be an easy out. Oh, they're showing it on NFL Network. He's not in black. They got him in silver and white. They got him running down the sideline, all fired up. Are you watching this on NFL Network?
I got NFL Network. They're still showing the Ravens game.
No, they went split screen.
Not on my thing. They didn't.
They went split screen. They showed Pete Carroll.
Are they showing him right now? Oh, yeah.
No,
wow. Look at Lindsay right all over this.
Yeah.
No,
they showed. You weren't watching, but just a few
watching.
seconds ago before this play, they showed him running down the sideline. Look at Lindsay. Lindsay.
Man, Lindsay's all over this.
Chin to Lynn.
Lindsay,
give me a chin to Lynn. Oh,
great job, Lynn's all over it.
Chin.
She's the hardest working producer in the business.
Well, she doesn't sleep.
No, I call it a vampire. But Bob, listen, how about the adjustment, Pete Carroll? How about one thing he's not going to get used to? You ready?
What's that?
Well, Pete was in Seattle all those years, and he had the 12th man, one of the loudest fan bases in the NFL. Now, this poor guy's home games, half the stadium, maybe even more than half the stadium, is going to be rooting for the opposing team. Pete's got to get used to that adjustment. Holy shit, that's going to be different for him.
Yeah, and he's not going to be able to change that. And he's not going to be able to change that because Pete is going to be 74 in September, and it will take years. But Pete can affect the change if he puts a winning football team together, and this team in his time as a head coach has success, and there's 10-year-old kids from Las Vegas that grow up being all in on the Raiders. But look, it's a destination town. The Raiders fan base is in Oakland and some are in LA. Some make the trip, but it is a place where people go to gamble, go to have fun, and everybody looks at, oh, my team's playing the Raiders this year on the road. Let's go buy tickets.
Right.
Pete will be long gone before that could possibly change, but he will do his damnedest to change it for sure.
Hey, look, Bob, he winds up with Vegas, right, Pete? And me and you talked about it earlier. I think I caught your radio show to Sirius XM when you were on with Ed McCaffrey this morning. And I agree with you 100%. I was kind of hoping Pete would go to Chicago in the offseason. I was hoping the Bears, and they went another direction with Ben Johnson. We know that. And Pete's going to turn this around in Vegas. You know that because he's a heck of a coach. I was hoping he wouldn't go to the Bears in the offseason. I'm with you in that. I heard you talking with Ed this morning about it. We talked about that in the past. I thought that was the right fit for him. But, hey, listen, it is what it is. They wanted to go with Ben Johnson, quarterback, Caleb, all that stuff. But, look, I'm looking forward to Pete. That's a tough – they got the Chiefs. You got the Chargers. But, man, Pete's going to make it interesting there in Vegas. No question about it.
Now, let's get this Colts-Ravens game over with.
I want to
see Pete and the Chargers playing.
Yeah, baby, in Seattle. Pete back in Seattle.
I see on the scroll there, it says Giants-Bills on NFL Network Saturday at 1 p.m.
But
it'll most likely be the Bills telecast. Usually they pick up the home team. So that means that me, Banks, and Sims will be national for the Giant-Jet game.
Yes, you will. Mr. Sims back in a booth with you.
I tell you what, it was 2 years ago. It was huge. Aaron Rodgers, Jets playing. There was a buzz. And then he got hurt to start the regular season. What are you going to do? All right, you said you wanted to ask me a question about the NFC. What is your question?
All right, so I think we're in agreement here. The Eagles are the class of the NFC. Who do you have challenging them this season? Who do you say, hey, you know what, Biz? Watch these guys. I think they can knock these guys out in January.
I just looked at the screen. I saw Gino in uniform too. All right, NFC. Who could take the Eagles out? Well, I wouldn't bet against the 49ers if they stay healthy. I know you're a big Rams guy, but this back situation with Stafford has me bothered. The
Stafford thing is concerning. The Rams are without Daboll, and they just got 49ers. Without. Yeah, I'm not crazy about the Niners this year.
I know, but if McCaffrey stays healthy, we're in good. Oh, they switched over.
Oh,
to the
they
Seahawks.
switched over, Pop, and here we go in Seattle. And the kickoff will be back.
I wonder if Ernie Els is there. Champions Tour is playing the Boeing Classic. I know I saw Ernie at the Seahawks game earlier this week.
So
nice little run back.
And it looks like the Raiders and Pete Carroll are going with their starters. Papa. Gino's on the field. Hey, Pop. I'm sure Pete feels he's got his next Marshawn Lynch with this kid, Ashton Genty. This kid is a beast.
Well, they got a nice kickoff return, so they're going to be starting with good field position. And they got Gino in at quarterback. Hey, he revived Gino's career there in Seattle. I'm fired up to watch.
Yeah, so am I.
Gino, there you go. Get rid of it.
A completion right out of the gate for Gino.
There you go. Good decision. Looked like he was going to run, then tossed it. All right, so you asked me about the NFC. If the McLaurin situation gets squared out, I think Washington is a live wire.
Mm-hmm.
I think Minnesota's taking a step back. I don't see J.J. McCarthy. You're going to lose Addison for the first 3 weeks of the season. I don't see them. They're not going to have the kind of year they had last year. Obviously, Detroit is going to be a factor despite losing the coordinators. Mm-hmm. I mean, the quarterback's good. The weapons they have offensively, the two running backs, and they're getting Aiden Hutchinson back. So I think Detroit's a live wire. Hey, the Bucs are pesky. They're pesky. Baker gives you a chance, but I don't see them being a dominant team in the NFC. I think the Bears will be better. I just don't know how much better. Does Dallas have the talent? Their talent always gets overblown. I think they got some O-line issues.
Yeah, they banged up this camp too.
And we don't know about Micah Parsons and what's going to happen with him. Why? Who are you thinking in the NFC?
I tell you, I'm thinking Lions, and that's just about it. I got to be honest with you, Bob. You answer me this too. How do you feel about this? Jordan Love, is he a little concerning to you? I see he's not really having a good camp.
I think this is a big year. I think this is a big year for him because he played great, the final 8 games of the 23 season, and he was lights out.
Yep.
In the postseason. Last year was right? It was nothing to knock your socks off.
No. Not having it.
Sal's weighed in and said the Giants.
The Giants.
Sal, we're going to get into some Giants talk here.
Yeah, we'll get to the Giant talk. But yeah, look, he concerns me, Jordan Love. I don't like his season last year. I'm not liking the camp he's having so far. You read the reports from the beat writers out there. Look, Washington is definitely a team, Bob. Looking for that rematch in January with the Eagles.
Well, now they've obviously added Debo to the mix.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, they have to get this Terry McLaurin situation straightened out. Him and Debo will be a pretty damn good combination. Dan Quinn, what he's done down there, I thought it was great that Cliff Kingsbury did not. He wanted to stay. I know his name was being tossed around for some interviews in the offseason, and he decided he wanted to stay. I thought that was a great move by Cliff to stay another year in Washington. So I like everything Washington. I think Washington and Detroit are 2 teams to keep an eye on. Now, Detroit's going with 2 new coordinators, Bob. That's going to be a question mark right there for me. You saw what happened a couple years ago with the Eagles when they lost their coordinators.
Exactly.
Right? So until we see these coordinators, what they're doing there, and losing Aaron Glenn, losing Ben Johnson is huge. Okay, we don't know what the new coordinators are going to do. I know
some other coaches along the way.
Right. I know. They lost. One of them is now the Jets offensive coordinator. Kelvin Shepard, an old Giant, has taken over the defense there for Dan Campbell in Detroit. So we'll have to see how those coordinators roll down there because you just don't know. Washington, we do know We do know about them. They got better on paper, and they're a team. You always got to watch guys like Jayden Daniels in year 2. Do they take a kind of a step back, like the Houston kid did last year?
Yeah, but you know what?
I think he's a special talent that he isn't going to take that step back. But we'll see.
Here's the difference, though. The Houston offensive coordinator got fired.
Bobby Slowick. I thought he was the next great offensive head coach. All that stuff. Bob, what happened?
Well, he got fired. So it wasn't very good last year. But I think with Kingsbury's experience as a former head coach and years under his belt of calling offenses, but with Dan Quinn as the head coach, I think Jayden Daniels doesn't take a half a step back. I think Jayden Daniels elevates and takes it now to a next level.
Yeah, he's
just like Bo Nix takes it to a next level. I'm curious about Atlanta. Like, I don't know what to make of Michael Penix. I mean, he started 3 games. His numbers were very pedestrian.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's running the show, but it's going to be a lot of it's new to him.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Young had a nice finish to his season, but does Carolina scare you? And New Orleans certainly doesn't scare you. I think the Bucs win that division. The Bucs will win that division, but they'll win it in Bucs style. They won't win it going away because they're always their own worst enemy. But then they pull the rabbit out of the hat, and Baker does.
Right.
So I think I don't see any teams out of that division challenging. I think the Bears will be better. I believe they'll be better. And they got a lot of talent. So, I think it's much more wide open in the NFC.
Hey, Bob, speaking of the Bears, it seems like a lot of people feel like Caleb Williams did not have a good rookie season.
Yeah, it's one of the great garbage perspectives going.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad you agree with me on that because every time I hear something about Caleb in his season, you would think the guy's numbers were horrific. You'd think the guy was terrible. Did anybody look at Caleb Williams' numbers last year behind an absolute crap offensive line? It was pretty good numbers. And not to mention his head coach was not a head coach. Okay, we all know the Thanksgiving Day game where he literally lost that game for them.
Well, how about
he lost a few other ones? Okay, but Caleb
the Washington
Williams,
game.
Yeah, the Washington game. By the way, see, we talk about the starters, not to jump around too much, but see, like Mike McDonald is going with his 2s tonight. He's not going with his 1s. Pete is going with his 1s. See, Max is on the field. I see Adam Butler's on the field. So he's going with his 1s. It's a different philosophy, Bob. I think that's what we're going to see. Some guys are going to go with their starters in week 1, preseason game 1. Some guys aren't. I hope the shift is more for the starters. But you look at Mike McDonald tonight. He's going with our old friend Drew Lock. And he's going with the 2s. So, but Bob, going back to Caleb Williams. Let's get back to Caleb, Bob.
Let me give you his numbers.
Yeah, give me his numbers from. I know they were good numbers. Go ahead.
He was 5-12.
That was the bad number.
Yeah, but look, for a rookie quarterback, doing what he did, look at Peyton Manning's numbers. Peyton Manning would kill for the numbers that Caleb Williams had in his rookie season. 63%, 3,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Now, he took a league-high 68 sacks, and they weren't all offensive line's fault. Never is. He had 489 yards rushing on 81 attempts, averaged 6 yards a carry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are really good numbers for a rookie quarterback.
Mm-hmm. It was the old 3-to-1 ratio, right? What'd you say, 20 and 6 he finished up with?
Yeah.
That's the old 3-to-1 ratio, right? Had a bad offensive line. People running for his life so many freaking times out there. They went out and they redid their whole offensive line in Chicago. So
They had a guy run off the field in the middle of a play and go sit on the bench.
Yeah, right. So
They had a guy posing with fans on the last play of the game during a Hail Mary, and it was his responsibility on the guy that wound up caught it because he was too busy preening. Like, just a horribly run football team. And he still had 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be looking forward to him. Look, that's what Ben Johnson's there for, right, Pop? That's why Ben was hired, because of Caleb Williams. So that'd be interesting to see how those two get it going.
All right, so here we
Daboll. Go ahead. We are at the Seattle game now, Bob.
What's that? Is Max Crosby in there?
Yeah, the Raiders are going. Pete's going with his ones.
Pete wants to win this game.
Pete's going with his ones. Now I see they got their number 1 pick, Ray Zabel's out there, left guard. And they got Abraham Lucas. And they got a couple of ones on the offensive line. And then everybody else is basically 2s. That's what McDonald's going with.
I would like to have seen Sam Darnold play a little bit.
Yeah, me too. I guess he's going to go next week.
Drew Lock's a good dude.
And it's an interception, buddy.
You're ahead of me.
I'm a little ahead of you.
I'm watching on YouTube.
Oh.
Drew Lock's back, lobs one left. Oh, what a diving interception.
Look at Pete, will you? Pete's fired up.
Dude, that was a hell of a play.
Yes, it was.
That was a hell of a play.
Woo.
Look at Pete. Woo! Pete, chew the gum. White. He's in all white. He's going like Al Davis, all white.
Pete's like, I'm putting my ones out there. We're going out there and start hitting. You know, Bob, Pete's always known as a coach, a player-friendly coach. But Bob, and you know this more than anybody, I don't have to tell you this. That dude, when you talk to people around the league, right, players, ex-players, runs the most competitive practices in the whole damn league.
Well, one of the most, because if you've ever seen an Andy Reid practice.
Oh, I heard. Well, Andy Reid's known for his training camp intensity. He's another guy. He'll go out there, play the ones, his first game. Watch.
So I'm
Mahomes is playing.
I'm doing Giants training camp. It's like 2008 or 9, and in Albany. And at that point in time, Coughlin had turned the corner as far as being Attila the Hun. And Sirius asked me to drive to Eagles camp. So I drove from Albany all the way down. I'm going to do Eagles camp. So I get to Eagles camp. I get to practice. And I'm watching. And they're like live. Most of the practice. There's receivers coming across the middle getting laid out. I think Trotter was the middle linebacker. He's like blowing people up. And whoever I was with, like, oh, yeah, I mean, this must remind you a lot of the Giants practice. I'm like, no, this looks like Parcells' practice from 1989. This is intense. And evidently, Andy Reid has figured out a way to take it right up to the edge of the rules, and he still does it in Kansas City.
Intense training camps. Andy's always been known for that. They come out ready to play.
All right, so you want to get Pete does the same. Old school. Old school.
Pete runs very competitive practices. And that includes during the week, game week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a very high intense practice. Everything's about competition with Pete. His teams are ready to play Sunday afternoons for a friggin' reason.
That's why he's got a lot of wins under his belt.
And you know what? I've seen our guy, Mr. Daboll. I've seen the intensity of the training in this training camp with the Giants. When you want to get the Giants, we'll talk about that. But I like what I've seen from the Giants this year with Brian Daboll.
All right, Gino's out of the game. So you got the one series, and that's it.
Is that Aiden?
Aiden O'Connell is in.
He played last year a lot for Pierce.
I saw AP was at with the Chiefs the other day at their training camp, hanging out with Spags. All right, so let's talk a little Giants. Sal says, I miss Albany training camp. Sal, it was fun. It was nice, but it's a new NFL, and having players stay in dorms for a month just ain't going to fly anymore. Genty, little issues on that play. Welcome to the NFL, young man, because in college that play in college this handoff would have gone for about 40. But they're bigger, faster, stronger in this league. All right, let's talk a little Giants.
Yeah, let's talk a little Giants.
We got about 8 minutes to go. Let's talk Giants.
Yeah, we'll take it to the first quarter here. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
Well, like I was just getting into, we're talking about intense practices, training camps. I think Brian Daboll made an adjustment this training camp. Bob, I'm being there every day, and you were there a lot. One of the biggest differences I've seen with the Giants this season has been the intensity. Even practices and shells, you see guys knock, Bobby Okereke kind of low in his shoulder a little bit.
Yeah, me, you and Matt
was right in front of us.
Standing in the end zone. They're working low red zone. Looks like they're going to score. Tracy looks like he's going to score.
Right.
And they're in shells, and Bobby Okereke comes running over, and he didn't tackle him, but he lowered his shoulder, and he knocked him out of bounds. And I'm like, nice. Let's not do the old touch, and we're in shells. No, you're not scoring on us.
So I like the intensity of the Giants training camp. Daboll the other day, his second 2+ hour practice, and I haven't seen that ever from Brian Daboll in the first 3 seasons with the Giants. This year he's done it a few times. I like it. The other day when we saw Bobby Okereke kind of lower his shoulder and hit Tyrone Tracy out of bounds, me and you looked at each other, right? Like, okay, I like it. I like the intensity. I think it's something the Giants desperately needed this training camp. The last 2 seasons, we know they have come out and have gotten smoked in the first game.
They have not scored a touchdown in the first half of the season opener in 3 years.
Okay, so I think Brian looked at that and said, okay, we got to do a couple of things different this training camp. Brian has been very intense at times. I've heard him on the field. He'll never admit it to the media as far as making any kind of – he always says, yeah, you always make a few adjustments, but that has definitely been one of them, Bob. And I think it was much needed. I like it. I like the intensity the Giants have. Bob, we're in the dog days of training camp now as far as these guys, they don't want to see each other anymore. They want to see another jersey, okay? So a lot of times I've seen over the years, middle of August, beginning of August, you see sloppy practices, Bob. You see guys that kind of like half-ass, not half-ass, but you could just tell like they want to they want to see another helmet now. They're sick and tired of seeing the same damn helmets, same game guys, 7-on-7s, team drills. Okay, I've had enough of looking at Malik Neighbors. I've had enough of looking at this. I want to see another guy. But this season with the Giants, they've still kept that intensity during the practices, which I think is much needed, and it was great to see. I think Brian Daboll's pretty happy too for what his plays have shown as far as intensity. You know what's amazing, Bob? What's that, Chris? Yeah, you can say it. I would have taken FanDuel odds that Brian Burns or Thibodeau would have been throwing haymakers at James Hudson the first padded practice because, Bob, they were going at it every damn practice in shells before the first padded practice because James Hudson loves stirring it up. He loves being that guy who plays to the edge. And not one Donnybrook, not one.
No, not a Donnybrook, but it got intense because the D-line coach actually called them all in.
The one-on-ones did. Yes, you're right. The
O-line and D-line. Yes. He cursed them all out because Hudson hit Thibodeau and they were John. So, listen, I got to be honest with you here, my friend.
Be honest. Go ahead.
I am not Lindsay saying C.J. Gardner-Johnson did not tear ACL, undergoing more tests. Let's hope for his sake,
Yes,
the test proved to be not torn. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, be honest.
Stop with the dog. You know, it's so funny how these guys parrot. I mean, the players.
I know where you're going with this.
The dog days of we get to the dog days of training camp, and then there's fights. Listen, they practice once a day, and they have days off. They literally have days off. It used to be when I first came into the league. There ain't no dog days. There's nothing dog day about it. Dog days of training camp were being in full pads at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. at FDU Madison in the sweltering heat. I'm just using the Giants as an example. And being in pads every frigging day. Mm-hmm. And the starters playing in regular preseason games. And the starters playing in the third preseason game into the third quarter. And then going back and camp broke. They were still in pads. They were still hitting. And they hit during the regular season. Look, the Giants, they practice 3 days. By rule, the players have to be off. They get days off in camp. I mean, listen, Tom, the first year that the Giants left FDU Madison, Dan Reeves was the head coach, and they moved to Albany. And they had to give a big speech as they were breaking camp to tell the guys, listen, you cannot be doing 110 miles an hour down the New York State Thruway, getting to Route 17 to get back to Jersey, because I know camp's over, and every year they would have the same speech because they were breaking camp and going home, and everybody was in the dorm for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 4.5 weeks. They train in the same facility that they train in all the time. They practice once a day. There's no such thing as dog days of training camp anymore. So stop it with that.
Well, look, that's something they still use. Look, I'm with you, bro. This isn't hard training camps anymore. This isn't hard at all. But what they do get fed up with is looking at the same jersey, going against the same jersey every day. And then when you get some team drills, you usually get some guys because they're on edge, they're sick and tired of seeing each other, so they start getting chippy, all that stuff. But anyway, there's only so much intensity you could have during practices and training camp these days, but the Giants have shown the intensity of this training camp, and I like it.
There's no doubt this is a different training camp. There's more pep. There's more enthusiasm. It's a faster, more talented team. The fans are more enthusiastic this year. The roars when the door opens and the players come out for practice, the cheering, it's just different. Now, what does that translate into wins? I don't know. But I think this is going to be a better football team, a more competitive football team, and I cannot wait for Saturday at 1 o'clock, which, by the way, if you live in the New York, New Jersey metropolitan area, or you get the games on DirecTV or whatever that, it defaults to the New York NBC. That's where you can watch the telecast this week. Sal is coming up from Boca for the home opener. He likes the over in wins for the Giants this year. Well, Sal, I don't know what the over is. I know this. I work for the New York Giants. I had to sign an NFL-mandated waiver about this stuff, so I have no idea what the over-under is. I think the Giants are going to be a much better team this year. I don't know what the win total is going to be. But I think the goal is when you go to a holiday party or you hang your Christmas decorations or you go out to buy your Christmas tree and there's 4 or 5 games left in the season, you just want to say, hey, if we can win this one, and this one coming in, we got a shot for a wild card spot. I think every Giant fan would cheer for that. Because being eliminated by Halloween and being eliminated by Thanksgiving is no fun.
Yeah, I think Giants fans, when they're settling at Thanksgiving dinner eating their turkey want to talk about the Giants, saying, like you just said, hey, if we win this game, this and that. That's the goal. End of November, December, you'll be playing somewhat meaningful football games.
Anything else? I'm ready. I'm fired up. I got to pack up because I got a flight that leaves at 6:10 a.m. tomorrow to get me to Buffalo through Atlanta.
Woo, okay. You got to get a few hours sleep, my man.
Tight connection. 36 minutes.
So you pumped up for the first preseason game Saturday at 1 o'clock?
Haven't been more excited than ever.
Really?
I was taking Max to his tackle football practice.
By the way, nice open field tackle by Max. Very impressive. The one
you like him leaking out of the backfield?
I like him leaking out of the back. I was just gonna
make
say,
a guy miss and run.
I like the way you leaked out of the backfield. There made a guy miss. Yes.
And then ran a few people over on his way.
Yeah.
And there was a guy behind us. We were stuck at a light. There's a guy behind us, and I'm looking. And I'm like, hey, Max, look at that car behind us. It was like a little sport utility vehicle. And it was painted in giant blue. It had the giant blue hue. And then, here in Florida, unlike in New Jersey where you have to have the license plate on the front and the back, on the front, he had a license plate, not the plate, but, the cover. And it was the NY logo. And then it was cut in half in blue. And then in red, it had the Giants across it. And then he looked like he had a air freshener hanging from his rearview mirror, and it was a giant pendant. And Max was like all fired up. He's like, "Oh man, I can't wait!" But they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Oh,
they're
even here. They got to be all over
here in Ponte Vedra.
Oh, they got to be all over Florida. You don't have a transplant. They got to be all over down there. So you're looking forward to it. You know what? For all the years you've been doing, I find it interesting that you said that. I know you're always pumped up every year.
I'm always pumped for the first game.
For all the years you're doing it, that you still get pumped up for that first preseason game.
I'll be nervous before we go on. Well, I want to see.
You going to be nervous before you go on?
I get nervous before every broadcast.
Really?
Game. Golf Channel, Giant games, Giant preseason games on TV. I get nervous before any live broadcast. I'll never forget doing the Notre Dame home opener in 2008 on NBC. Standing in the middle of the field at Notre Dame Stadium 4 hours before kickoff, just looking from the 50-yard line like, holy cow, I'm here. And then my producer, David Gibson, counting me down in my ear for Notre Dame to come running out of that tunnel on NBC. And I'm like, I was so nervous.
Really?
I had these butterflies. The same butterflies I had when me and the Fight Doctor did the Evander Holyfield Buster Douglas pay-per-view championship fight in 1990 at the Mirage. The same butterflies I get, doing Giant games. And Ed McCaffrey summed it up really good this morning on Sirius. And he's like, oh, I got nervous. Because I asked him, do you remember your first preseason game? And he talked about being nervous. Because I got nervous before every game. Nervous energy is not a bad thing. It's those who let the nerves consume you as opposed to utilizing it as a focusing thing, sort of like a smelling salt. Look at Sal weighing in the comments. I get nervous when you bring out the cake in reference to me dropping Carl Banks' birthday.
So when do the nerves go away, Pop? Is it kickoff? I mean, when did I say like you're a little nervous Saturday afternoon? When do the nerves go away?
Usually when you get through the on camera. Like when I did Thursday Night Football with Chris Collinsworth, he hated the on camera. Like he hated it. Hates the on camera. And then as soon as you get done with the on camera, you go to the break. And then you start now like you're in your element a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So like Saturday will come on. So our Giants TV show, it's called All Access Giants Training Camp on NBC4 New York. It airs for 4 weeks. It's on at 12:30. I got my interview with Daboll. I can't remember who we have mic'd up for sound. Phil Simms does a one-on-one, I think, with Jackson Dart that airs. But then that goes right into our broadcast. And we'll come on and I pre-voiced the tease for this week's game, start of a new season. That's already done. So that's going to roll. And then the team's going to run out of the tunnel. NBC4 New York and the New York Giants present New York Giants preseason football from Orchard Park, New York. It's the Giants Bills. And then cut to me in the booth, solo shot. I'll do my little opening. I'll tee up Banks. I'll tee up Sims. Throw it down to Bruce Beck with a quick interview with Daboll. And then to kick off we go. The ball get kicked off. Here's the starting lineup. Whoever's out there will be out there. And then when you get into the first play, and then you just settle in. Then you're just like, okay, it's an old shoe. I got it on. It's an old slipper. This is what I do. But that first part of it, I'll be stressed out on Saturday.
Were you in 2007 for the Super Bowl? Did it take a little long? No, I know you were nervous going in, but did it take a little longer to calm the nerves because of the event? Or was it just routine? Nerves went away.
My mentor, the great Marty Glickman, may he rest in peace, and one of the biggest influences in my career, we had a long conversation before Super Bowl 35, and we chatted on the phone for quite a while, talking about like managing nerves and stuff like that. And there's some broadcasters, and I don't want to name names, but if you watch certain telecasts, they start too high. The opening kickoff, the first play, the first catch, the first tackle, like, and then it's like, Marty always said, you got to leave room for when it really becomes important. Because if you don't, then all you're doing is yelling all game. So I kind of like take that into account. Right. And you're fired up at the beginning, and then you let the game come to you. And now it's just, then you go to that first commercial break and you say, okay, this is one of thousands of live sporting events I've called on radio, network TV, Olympics, boxing, whatever. This is just another one.
Bob, I have to ask you, because I was a big boxing fan. You did boxing for a long time. How about boxing, the ups and downs? Because you can go a couple of rounds where nothing's going on, right? And then that third round, or say that sixth round, all of a sudden you have a flurry of punches, guys go throwing haymakers at each other. How did you control those emotions? Like you could have fourth, fifth round doing nothing, and then all of a sudden the sixth round, they're throwing bombs at each other. Well, how did you manage that when you first started doing boxing?
It's a different kind of emotion. Like when you're doing the Giants, when I'm doing a Giant game, my livelihood is around the team. So how they fare in the game will affect my day-to-day life for the next 6 days on my work conditions. When I did Thursday Night Football, it was awesome because you're not rooting for a team. You're rooting for a close game that ends before there's an overtime so that you can get out of the stadium and get to the airport and fly home. Same thing with golf. We root for no playoff, but we root for someone to make a birdie on 18 to win it. And then how do we get out of there and get home?
Right.
So, it's like, it's a weird kind of dynamic because you're just rooting for an exciting game that's going to entertain the viewer. And you don't get too swept up in any kind of emotion either way. You're like, man, I really hope this game ends in a classic and it doesn't go to overtime. And with boxing, no home team, no fighter that you're rooting for, because either when I was at HBO, ESPN, Sports Channel America, and everything in between, you just want a good fight. You just want the audience to be entertained. Right. So how do you deal with your emotion? It depends on who your analyst is. Teddy Atlas, the John Madden of boxing, could tell you what was going to happen in the fight, and he was right 95% of the time. This one's going to turn by round 6. This one's going to go the distance. This one could end after 2. Emmanuel Stewart was great. May he rest in peace. Working with him at HBO. He had an ability to see things that, as a Hall of Fame trainer, most of us couldn't see, and they could basically pre-predict the fight.
So, as you know, on the ManjaCast, we are going to be doing standalone games. So, first week of the season, first standalone game might be that Thursday night game. Dallas and the Eagles. Are you going to be a little nervous because you know I'm going to be coming at you a little hard? Were you nervous last night when I called you and said I ripped off some Giants numbers and you ripped them right back at me?
That's what I do. Am I going to be?
Are you going to be nervous for our first standalone game, folks? We're going to have standalone games.
No, I can't
Thursday
wait.
Night game. Huh?
I can't wait for it. Get me. No, I don't want to. You know what? My father used to tell me when I was younger, don't rush your life away. And now I'm old. So I'm not rushing opening day. Just take every day as it comes and enjoy it. But I'm not rushing. Like, oh, I can't wait for opening night and the Eagles and the banner. Oh, well, first of all, the Eagles and the banner.
Oh,
I'm
not looking forward to that, but
don't get me started on that. And Giant fans, I still have a bone to pick with a lot of Giant fans when the Eagles played the Patriots in that Super Bowl with Foles and the whole Philly special. Like, oh, I hate Brady and I hope the Eagles win. I'm like, why, as a Giant fan, would you want Philadelphia to do something that you're the only team that's ever done? Eli Manning, Tom Coughlin were the only two quarterback coach combos to beat Brady and Belichick in a Super Bowl. They won all their other Super Bowls. The Giants were the only team they hadn't beaten. Why would you want Philadelphia to join that party?
I had no
Never
idea.
understood it. But there was a lot of them.
It could have been Lucifer as a quarterback for New England. I want him to win over the Eagles. I remember that too in 2017. Like, what are we doing? Why do we hate Brady? The Eagles?
And I'm like, why would you hate Brady? You beat him twice in the Super Bowl. You ended their home winning streak in 2011 in Foxborough. I would, if I was a Giant fan, I would love Brady.
I didn't quite get that either. I know that New England Brady hate, but guys, they're playing the Eagles. Okay?
Now, Eagles fans, to their credit, can say, so what? We beat Brady and Belichick in the Super Bowl, too.
That they could.
Giants, it was special for the Giants. All right.
Papa, go get some sleep.
Julian Love not in uniform, just hanging out with the jersey on.
Yeah, a lot of guys are just out of pads.
He is the man. What a guy. All right, Chin Chin.
Yes, my friend. Have a safe flight. Have a good game Saturday. Enjoy.
Hey, Lindsay, can I tell everybody what I'm thinking? What's going to happen on Saturday night? Here's what's going to happen on Saturday night. Me and Banks. And if you're a nice guy, maybe we'll have you drop in.
Me?
Yeah. Me and Banks, once the team charter lands in Newark, I'm going to check into the hotel. He's going to go home. And me and Banks are going to do a live Believe in Giants podcast presented by FanDuel to recap the Giants' first preseason game. So I think the ManjaCast guy might have to just jump on for a cameo. If you're not, too many St. Francis's into your Saturday night.
Okay. So can I mention something quick before we sign off?
Hey, go ahead.
Because the Giant, I like that. Man, Lindsay's good with that stuff. So the Giant Insider podcast, which is now part of the Believe family, sponsored by FanDuel, is going to make an adjustment this season where we're going to do a quick recap of the games. I'll be in the press box. I'm going somewhere with this, okay? I'll be in the press box. I guess we get back from the locker room, I guess about 5 o'clock, a 1 o'clock game. And then I'm going to go somewhere quiet, probably maybe use your little cozy little booth there because you'll be long gone. You and Banksy.
No.
Oh, no. Tino will be
there. That post-game show goes on for 2 hours.
I forgot the Tino and John Schmel. Okay, so I'm going to have to find a little cozy spot. So I'm going to have to grab you, my friend. I know you like to boogie out of there, okay? But I'm going to have to grab you.
For the rapid recap.
For the once or twice, being part of the Belief family, sponsored by FanDuel, and go, okay, folks, as I've given the recap, and me and Jerry be talking on the Giant Insider podcast, like a half-hour recap, I'm going to have to grab Mr. Papa to jump on with me right there from the press box and give a quick review. What do you think about that there, Papa?
Once Banks and I are done with our post-game responsibilities, it could happen. It could happen.
All part of the Belief family, right? All family members got to look out for each other.
You know why? Because what we do. That's
what we do, folks. That's what me and Papa do, and the Belief family, sponsored by FanDuel. That's what we do. Papa, have a safe trip.
And anything to make Lindsay look good.
Oh, I love Lindsay. I love Lindsay. The vampire. Is she gone? Oh, no, she just flashed something up. She's still with us. The vampires don't sleep, Pop. You know that.
That did not sound right. She just flashed something up.
She flashed up that Belief, Banks, and Papa thing. What you think? Get your mind out of the gutter. What do you think I meant by that?
It's called a graphic. I got to teach you about TV.
Okay, she flashed up a graphic. There it is. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah, Banks and I'll be on the charter. We'll be hanging out. I don't know if Carl will light up a cigarette waiting for the buses to fill up. I know Brian Cox will have a cigarette burn.
Cigarette? You mean a cigar?
Cigar burning.
Yeah.
And we'll roll. We'll get on the bus, get on the plane, take the bus to the facility. I'll head to the hotel. Boom, Believe in Giants live.
Sounds good.
Might have to get your thoughts. All right, how do we like to end this thing?
How we like to end it? Listen, chin, my friend.
We'll be back next week for another. We're going to a really cool spot on Tuesday night.
You want to tell the people
for the
about
next ManjaCast? No, I'm going to save it. We're going to a really cool restaurant in the New York metropolitan area Tuesday night. We're going to shoot some of it, and it's going to be on next week's edition of the ManjaCast. But when you see this place, Manja. All right, Biz. Talk to you from Buffalo. Check out Believe in Giants Saturday night. We haven't set the time yet. Depends on when we land. Live. Biz will jump on. Recapping the Giants and Bills. But we had a full league conversation. We got to see Gino. We got to see Pete Carroll chewing the gum. And, hey, listen, if you like it, subscribe. I'll be cooking on the future shows. Don't worry about it. But thanks for joining us on this edition of the ManjaCast, presented by FanDuel.